guys, happy Saturday. Wow, yeah, can't really talk much, so, alright, so back to the Roman history of the Roman Empire, and the stories and all of that good stuff, the mythology, and it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting stuff. So, alright, we have a bunch more articles to go over. So we have Bacchus is the first one, and I love this one. So, Bacchus was born of Jupiter and Semele, the daughter of Cadmos, who was deified only after her death by fire on Olympus. That's different. Now, Bacchus was brought up through childhood by a wet nurse, Leucothea, I think, maybe. Hopefully I didn't butcher that word. And as a youth was entrusted to the satyr Silenus. So he is depicted as a youthful figure wearing ivy or a grape crown, and carrying a wand or a thyrus. Also, he frequently rides in a chariot drawn by leopards. So, the chariot card. Obviously, we can make a connection with that card to Bacchus. I like this one, though. So, being the god of wine and intoxication, like his great counterpart, who would be Dionysus, his court included female Bacchantes, nymphs, fauns, and satyrs. So, Bacchus was widely worshipped and commanded a number of festivals, including the Liberalia and the Bacchanalia. These are sounding a lot like Lupercalia. Anyways, alright, so, yeah, these possess strong phallic connotations that cause the god on occasion to be represented by a modeled phallus. Interesting. I love that, Bacchus. So, now we have, I don't know how to say this, Epimetheus. So Epimetheus, after thought, was a minor creator god found in both the Greek and Roman pantheons, one of the four sons of, oh god, I don't want to butcher these words. Epimetheus and Clemene, Titan, and the brother of Prometheus, so jointly responsible for creation of humankind. Epimetheus' fame involves his legion with the first mortal woman, Pandora, whom the gods warned him against. So he curiously caused her to open a box belonging to Jupiter, in which he placed all vices, diseases, and sufferings of humanity, plus the benevolent spirit of hope. Wow, alright, so that's what's in Pandora's box right now. Pandora, pandemic. Makes sense. How do I say that? I said it earlier, and I'm not going to try to say it again, so never mind. So that's another really interesting one. So now we have Faunus. I like Faunus. This is really interesting information. So this is actually the Faunus. Faunus comes from Italian. So Faunus, thought to be of the ancient Italian origin, meaning the kindly one. So from Favere was the god of fruitfulness of the fields and animals. He belonged to the forests, and it was especially worshipped by herdsmen. So as a son of Bacchus, is a minor god, and the grandson of Saturn. He is thought to have been one of the early kings of Rome. He possessed prophetic powers, and his rites were purification ones, so animals being sacrificed in his honor. So he was indirectly linked to Pan and given similar attributes, including the horns and legs of a goat. So yes, he was associated with Funa, Bona Dea, his daughter or wife, who was worshipped exclusively by women, with Ops, a sublime goddess of agricultural fertility. I like this one. I love the connections that they are making with all the different goddesses. Very interesting. Alright, now we have Juno. Alright, now Juno, the sister and the consort of Jupiter, And in the Roman pantheon, she is has a special position, being called the Queen of Heaven. So in this distinction, she assumed many of the characteristics of Hera. She was the protectress of women. Where'd I go? It was said, just as every man has his genius, every woman has her Juno, so who presided over every aspect of womanly life, especially marriage and childbirth. She was the guardian of the bride's girdle, so the protector of the newly married woman as she entered her new home, and presided over the ritual of marriage. So helped women in childbirth and enabled the newly born child to see. I like that. Even now, Juno is still remembered, although many do not realize it, since June is the month of many weddings. That is funny, though. June is a lot. So what is this? March. What month is this? It's coming up. June. A couple months. So the sisters, goddesses Cuba and Cunina of Juno, were associated with the attendants of the goddess Runina, considered the goddess of breastfeeding, and the fig tree. The fig tree is holy to Juno, as its fruit resembles suckled breasts. So women finding themselves sterile prayed to Juno for fertility, and once annually on the 1st of March, the matronalia, the matrons of the city, made special offerings at her temple in the grove on the Esquiline. May. Is this May? Are we in May right now? We're in April, so this would be next month. So that'd be really interesting to, kind of just honor her tomorrow, next month. Okay, so women finding themselves, they pay out, whatever. So as the moon was to control the sexual life of women, Juno was a moon goddess and was worshipped on the kalends, or the days of the full moon. So that's really interesting. I like that. I've heard Juno somewhere else too, and I don't remember where. Beetlejuice. Juno was their worker when they entered the afterlife. Her name was Juno. She had the hole in her throat, and she'd smoke and it'd blow out her. That was Juno. Now we have Jupiter. So Jupiter, or Jove, was the supreme high god of the Roman pantheon, and recognized as father of the gods, and was closely identified with Zeus. So his probable origin was an Etruscan god, for the Etruscan kings, with their own high god being called Tenia, instituted the cult of Jupiter, Optimus Maximus, best in greatness, but his name and characteristics more closely associated him to the Greeks. Being a sky god, Jupiter Lucidius, he was also the light bringer and days of the full moon. So the idea was sacred to him. Like Zeus, he was associated with rain and thunder, and it is raining right now. Since his epithets, including tonans, thunder, and fulgarter, sending of lightning, and his main sanctuary was located on the Capitoline Hill in Rome, contained the Lapides, Silices, and believed to be his thunderbolts. So throughout Italy, all of the sanctuaries honoring him were built on hills and places that had been struck by lightning. So he was represented in the sanctuary of Jupiter Fertinius by a crude lump of stone. Well, that's not very pleasant to be represented by a crude lump of stone. Would you want to be represented by that? Alright. Where'd I go? So Jupiter was not only the protective deity of the race, but he was regarded as the guardian of public morality, being concerned with oaths, treaties, alliances, and wars. Socially, Jupiter was also concerned with the citizens' duties towards the gods, state, and family. So his annual depiction, or dedication festival, was observed on September 13th, the day on which the consuls of the Republic took office. So he was particularly responsible for honoring these oaths, which led to the practice of swearing in his name by Jupiter or by Jove. Interesting. Okay, so during Where'd I go? So during his evolvement as a deity, Jupiter was part of 2 trinities. So the early trinity, we've already went over this, included Mars and Quirinus. Later, this trinity was revised to include Jupiter, Juno, and Minerva, all 3 whom shared the Capitolone sanctuary. I would love to visit one of these sanctuaries. I mean, Google, I'm sure, Google Earth, you can visit these temples and stuff. I have visited the temple of Hera. No, not Hera, Hathor, in Egypt through through the iPad, through your Google Earth, so you can do that, and it's pretty interesting. It's really beautiful too, especially when you see it in your meditations first, and then you actually, you Google map Earth, and you can like take a tour of the temple, and then when you actually like look up and you see what you've seen in your meditation, it's wild. It's really neat. So, yeah. Alright, so Jupiter also played military roles as a war god, as Jupiter Victor. He led legions to victory and won, and when the legions were the defense, he was the Jupiter Stator, or Jupiter Protector. So away from Rome, he was allied with the Syrian Hittite.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Siri turns on by herself. Okay. So yeah, he was a war god. Where'd I go? Okay, yeah, Syrian and Hittite god Dalashinus, and in this form became popular with the Roman military, who erected shrines to him as far as Britain. Wow. So increasing in honor, Jupiter became the protector of all the Roman people with the development of urbanization and the increasing importance of the city. It was only natural that this tutelary deity should have arisen to greater preeminence. So with his associated Mars shed agricultural associations for more bellicose dispositions. Under the name of Jupiter Capitolonus, he presided over the Roman games. Ooh, always an important feature of an ancient city life, with the introduction of emperor worship, a means of testing the loyalty of the subject as much as official religion. Jupiter's political function was somewhat decreased. So, though traders were still official religion, thrown from the Tarpeian rock on Capitolone Hill, Jupiter was no longer the embodiment of the greatness and prosperity of the Roman Empire, but rather he served as the divine guide of the world. So Cairo, who in 43 BC had his head and his hands cut off for advocating to return to the republican principles. So he equated Jove with the presence of a supreme mind. So this was a conception, not unlike monotheism of Christianity. So, to which the conversion of Emperor Constantine in 312 AD meant the beginning of the end of the European pagan era. But it never really died out, it just went underground. Totally underground. Alright, now where do we go? Okay, now we have Leucothea. Leucothea? A sea goddess. So, Greco-Roman, popular with their fishing communities along with the Mediterranean coast, probably derived from a mermaid originally named Ino, and became the mortal daughter of Cadmos. So she, according to legend, wet nursed Dionysus or Bacchus, but went insane and threw herself into the sea with her son. Oh wow. Okay, so this is an Easter egg right here. Do you guys know? Remember when Father Blackwood told Prudence her mother threw herself into a sea? Alright, now Prudence, Tati Gabrielle, when she does her interviews, talks about, she would like to find out more about her mother's side. She thinks that her mother threw herself in a river. They never said that she died. Ever. This right here. This is very, very different. So yeah, she threw herself into the sea. In another version of the story, she was escaping the wrath of the Athens, king of Thebes, and the gods made her a goddess, and her son became the god Palemon. Huh. Easter egg. Let's look for Leucothea. Lecuthia in part 4 of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Keep that in mind. That's really interesting. Now we have Mars. So Mars, obviously. Mars, after Jupiter, was the most important deity in the Roman pantheon and was worshipped throughout central and southern Italy. So his probable origin was as a vegetation god. He was the son of Jupiter, and Juno, his Greek counterpart, is Ares. As a god of war, his festivals were celebrated in the spring, so now, the beginning of the war campaign season. So his name was given to the first month of the old Roman year, and a month of violent weather, which makes it seem appropriate that it should have been dedicated to the god of war. According to one convention, it was a Roman general, before settling out on combat, would invoke Mars in his sanctuary. Very common, very common. The sacred spears and shields, Ancilia, of Mars were kept in one of his temples and in the heart of the city. Now, at the outbreak of war, the council had to shake these spears and shout, "Mars Vigilia," Mars wake up. If the spears moved by themselves, this was a bad omen. In March and October, the beginning and the ending of the campaigning season, the Ancilia were carried in procession by his priests. One of his special festivals involved a horse race and the sacrifice of one of the horses, and whose head was cut off and decorated with cake. That's just wrong. So the war god is depicted in an armored suit wearing a plumed hat and bears a shield and spear. His reunite his retinue includes Metis, fear, Deimos, dread, and Phobos, alarm, phobia. So Ares, discord, and Pelor, terror. Mars is often linked with Bellona, the minor Roman war goddess, who drives his chariot. So he actively participated in the primordial between the gods and the giants. His consort was Venus. Where'd I go? I get distracted easily when I see the word Venus. And his father of Harmonia, Cupid, and Tereos. He is also romantically linked to Vestal Ea, who was buried alive for contravening the laws of her sisterhood. So through Ea, Mars fathered Romulus, the alleged founder of the city of Rome, and Remus, who was slain by Romulus. Kind of Cable A and Cable story a little bit there. You can kind of see that kind of connection, that bridge. So the training ground for future Roman legionaries, I love that word, I don't know why, was known as the Campus Martius, a field of Mars. So Mars's favorite animals were the wolf and the woodpecker. The fig tree and the laurel were associated with him. He seemed to be an agricultural god as well, as Mars was the protector of fields, not only in the time of war, but also against disease and unfavorable weather. So, with all this information, we should be able to do a little bit of something. Alright. Now we have Melonia. Melonia is the Roman goddess of bees. That's it. We have Mercury now. Mercury is my sign, so. Alright, now Mercury, a son of Jupiter and the earth goddess Maya. Gaia, was born in a cave on Mount Silibene, Silben, in Arcadia, and closely resembles the Greek god Hermes. Like the latter, Mercury is accredited with the invention of the lyre from a tortoise shell, with various misdemeanors, including the theft of a cattle of Apollo, an allegory of the blowing away of the clouds, Apollo's herds. So, Mercury also personified the wind. Apollo personified Mercury with the gift of a winged baton, the caduceus, which possesses the power for resolving conflict and disputes. Caduceus. Think about that. I like that. Alright, now the gods. also presented Mercury with winged sandals, or teleria, and cap, Pegasus. Thus he became the messenger god. Now originally Mercury was god of riches and became the patron of travelers and thieves. Gypsies, tramps, and thieves. Now, he was introduced in the Roman pantheon toward the end of the 5th century, after Rome had expelled the dark winds and felt the need for good deities who would assure good harvests and prosperous trading. His temple on Aventine Hill first became the center of the corn trade, and eventually trade in general. His main festival be, Mercurialia took place on the Ides of May, and his satures, usually with the symbols of Hermes, were frequently placed as boundary markers. Now, as Psychopompus, Mercury led the souls of the dead into Hades as something. He oversees the world of dreams. Okay, now, wait a minute. Where did I go? Psychopompus. Okay. Easter egg. Going into Sabrina when they astral project. Those little sparrows. Psychopompus. Wow. Okay, so there's no Psychopompus, so I cannot. But whatever. Another Easter egg. That's weird. Alright. We're going to stop with that today. That's really interesting though. So tomorrow we'll go on to Minerva. So you guys need to remind me. Minerva tomorrow. That's really interesting. That is really interesting. I'm seeing where the writers of, the Chilly Adventures of Sabrina and, the pagan, because they do have pagans writing. So I am definitely seeing the connection with many Roman gods. I mean, big-time Roman gods. But we have Pan now, and we have the Green Man, and they're depicted as really evil and monsters, but they're not. So, but still, the Psychopompus, that's really interesting to me. That's really interesting because when they do astral project, those little birds, they gather, and I guess they tear you apart if you don't return back to your body, or carry you off, because they think that you're dead. But that is, astral projection on TV is not what we have, not what we do. So that's still little Easter eggs. I'm finding them everywhere. Connection to real, actual paganism and real witchcraft. So good job, writers. Good job. So, alright guys, I will see you all tomorrow, and I love you all very much, and welcome new patrons. Thank you. So I love you all very much, all the way from Venus all the way back down. There we go. Alright guys, I love you all, and be safe. Stay home, don't spread it. Stay home and enjoy your family. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.